4500 BCE, Trypillian settlements. In 4500 BCE, Ukraine was home to the Trypillian culture, one of Europe's earliest farming societies. People built large villages with hundreds of clay houses arranged in circles. They raised livestock, grew grain, and crafted beautiful pottery decorated with red, black, and white spirals. Life centered around agriculture, rituals, and seasonal rhythms. These communities left behind some of the largest settlements of the Neolithic world. It was a society of early innovation, laying the foundation for later Slavic cultures. (988 CE), Christianization of Kievan Rus. In 988, Prince Volodymyr the Great converted to Christianity and baptized Kievan Rus, forever changing the region's identity. Stone churches began to rise across Kyiv, blending Byzantine art with local traditions. Icons, mosaics, and domes became part of daily life. Religion unified diverse tribes under one faith and tied Kievan Rus more closely to Byzantium. This moment marks the birth of Eastern Slavic Christian culture. (1240 CE), Mongol destruction of Kyiv. In 1240, the Mongol invasion brought devastation to Kyiv, one of Europe's largest cities at the time. Mongol armies destroyed churches, burned markets, and left entire neighborhoods in ruins. Survivors fled or lived under heavy tribute. The once powerful Kievan Rus fractured, and political authority shifted elsewhere. For centuries, the Mongol conquest left deep scars on Ukraine's development. It was both a human tragedy and a turning point in Eastern European history. (1654 CE), Cossack Hetmanate. By 1654, Ukraine was the land of the Cossacks. famed for their independence and warrior culture. Living along the Dnipro River, Cossacks created the hetmanate, a self-governing military state. They wore distinctive dress, carried sabers, and defended both their freedom and the Orthodox faith. At this time, Ukraine was caught between Polish, Ottoman, and Russian powers. The Cossacks became symbols of resistance and identity. Their songs and traditions still echo in Ukrainian culture today.
(1793 CE), under the Russian Empire. In 1793, after the partitions of Poland, large parts of Ukraine fell firmly under Russian control. Cities took on Baroque and neoclassical styles, while peasants lived under serfdom in the countryside. Ukrainian identity was suppressed, but folk traditions and songs survived among villagers. The nobility often spoke Russian or Polish, creating a cultural divide. Despite hardships, Ukraine remained a breadbasket of Europe, exporting grain through Black Sea ports. This was a time of empire, hierarchy, and tension. (1917 CE), Revolution and Industrialization. In 1917, Ukraine was swept into the chaos of the Russian Revolution. Cities filled with demonstrations, red banners, and competing visions of the future. Factories expanded, railways grew, and industrial labor reshaped urban life. Workers, peasants, and soldiers demanded change, while war and famine destabilized society. Ukrainian independence movements briefly surged, but the region was soon drawn into the Soviet Union. It was a moment of both hope and turmoil, shaping modern Ukraine's path. 1945 CE, post-World War II destruction. By 1945, Ukraine had suffered some of the worst devastation of World War II. Cities like Kyiv and Kharkiv lay in ruins, factories and homes reduced to rubble. Millions had died, and survivors faced hunger and displacement. Soviet forces reclaimed the land, but rebuilding was slow and harsh. Despite destruction, people began to return, repair, and plant crops again. The scars of war remained visible for decades, both in landscapes and in memory. (975 CE), Soviet urban expansion. In 1975, Ukraine was deep inside the Soviet Union and rapidly urbanizing. Rows of concrete apartment blocks stretched across cities, symbols of modernist planning. Trams, buses, and Lada cars filled wide boulevards. People wore Soviet fashions, wool coats, patterned dresses, and red pioneer scarves for children. Industry thrived with factories, steel plants, and coal mines driving the economy. Life was orderly but controlled, with official parades, propaganda, and limited freedoms shaping everyday existence.
(2019 CE), modern Ukraine before invasion. In 2019, Ukraine was modern, vibrant, and increasingly European in spirit. Kyiv's skyline mixed glass skyscrapers with golden-domed churches. Cafes, tech startups, and festivals gave cities a youthful energy. Fashion was global, and young Ukrainians embraced music, art, and digital life. Tourism grew in Lviv and Odessa, blending history with cosmopolitan charm. It was a hopeful time, with Ukraine asserting its independence and identity on the global stage.
2025 CE, Ukraine at war. In 2025, Ukraine remains a nation at war, starred by invasion and destruction. Cities bear the marks of bombing, collapsed buildings, burned-out vehicles, and displaced families. Soldiers defend the front lines, while civilians endure blackouts, shortages, and constant fear. Yet resilience is everywhere. Ukrainian flags hang from ruins, songs are sung in shelters, and people refuse to give up. International aid sustains the country, but the human cost is immense. Ukraine fights not only for survival, but for freedom itself. (2125 CE), The Future, AI Speculation. By 2125, 100 years after the war, we can only imagine Ukraine's future. AI-based analysis suggests a nation rebuilt with futuristic cities, clean energy, and advanced technology. Flying vehicles, robotic assistance, and smart architecture may define urban life. Yet golden domes, folk traditions, and cultural pride would still remain at the core of identity. Ukraine could stand as a symbol of resilience, blending heritage with innovation. This vision is speculative, but it reflects the hope of a nation reborn.